So we are back with Ordeal chapter 116. And the last time we left off, we see Kevin Morales pull up on Andrea, Che, and Andrea's mom. And the way he pulled up, he was looking like he was about that action. He had Andrea quivering in her boots, yelling out, "Uncle." Then the vessel of the water dude pops up too, telling Kevin, yo, you gotta stand down, bro. You are doing too much right now for this situation. Then the original users started to pop out and talk. I ain't gonna lie, this was tough. I'm loving this design right here. And then we get this panel right here. This is just aura on top of aura. Like, damn, it's really been a minute since all three of them were all in the same spot too. The Okeanos vessel starts to talk about how after all these years, our children are still fighting our brother. And Ilios was like, yeah, I've seen him. He's returned for sure. And he's angry as hell. Kevin breaks up the conversation. Is like, yo, I followed your chi here, saying the power of the sun flows within you, but you're not my brother Leo. What happened? I still think it's crazy, which I understand why they didn't tell him that Leo died and how Leo died. But I feel like there has to be some type of connection between the Adamos brothers where they could sense the energy transfer when the talent gets transferred to another person. That might be just creating some own little headcanon just to make it seem more realistic, or I don't know. But I just feel like there has to be other ways that they know. And Kevin starts to snap, charging up too, what is the meaning of this? Vatic really just doesn't say anything during this point. Then we get a flashback panel to Kevin in the Congo. And this is where we learn that he basically read 20 years of data in 8 months, which is crazy, but not too crazy to think about since he does have basically the ability to move at the speed of light. So his processing power is probably pretty fast too. And this is where Kevin starts to snap. Now that he realized that his brother is truly dead, he just doesn't know how to handle himself. I mean, I wouldn't too if all this time I thought my brother was alive and then I come down here just to find out he's dead and there's somebody else with his power. Yeah, I might have leveled a mountain too. Vatic tries to calm down and says this was done without malice. It was but Kevin already knows why it was done. He just can't control himself. He just really wants to crash. And then he goes to explain that his power is like a raging storm and it can't be tamed. And with his strong urge and most likely part of his greediness to master his power, he didn't even get close. He only angered the storm and made it much worse. And he tells people what you see is not even a man anymore. All this that you see is really just a testament to my failure. And he feels like because of this, no one can ever put their trust and love into me. Then Kevin notices that Andrea's arm is missing and she has a robot prosthetic. He also notices that she's been crying for quite a bit and asks who did this to her. Vatic tells Kevin yo, you need to step back. If you get any closer, your chi will literally kill her. And then we get a flashback to when Kevin was a little child and his older brother Leo was protecting him. And he explains back then Leo stood his ground and he risked his life when none of them had powers or any type of power for themselves. And he said back then he vowed that he would repay his debt for his older brother. And he said that he would risk his life to save his one day. But that promise was never able to be kept. And he goes and explains how saddened and heartbroken that he couldn't even be there to bury his own brother. You could really tell that all the emotions are hitting him right in at one moment, especially now that he's seeing the offspring of his brother. And he's upset that he can't even mourn with his family because his power is too great that it would literally put them all at risk to dying. Kevin believes that he has been cursed with this strength because he has the sin of greed. He says his existence hinders the vision, and he says he shouldn't be here, much less alive. I think that's a little extreme, in all honesty. And then he blasts off, and we don't know where he really goes. Most likely back into space or at the station is what I'm thinking. And for some reason, Che got this really angry face going on right now. Was Che about to box him? Was he about to square up with G? I don't know. Then we get the panel switch to Thanatos. I ain't gonna lie, this is a tough panel. This man is looking drippy. Orochimaru could never. And now that we're back on to Thanatos, we see him talking to his people, telling them that they were extremely loyal throughout generations and generations, and says he thanks them for following him blindly, and tells them this deserves no small praise. We shall celebrate for this. And then Thanatos is explaining that he kind of already foresees Code's plans, saying that they will send his brothers to him. And he explains to them right now where his current chi is at. He is not perfect with his abilities and his power. And then he drops a bomb on them. He tells them, like, you guys will be sacrificed. And I poisoned all the food that you guys have been enjoying. And you guys were all handpicked because you have greater chi pools. Now, this is devious. He talks a big game about not being like the others, not being like the other humans and how bad they are. But he's really killing these people to, just push his own agenda. That's low-key. No, that's not even low-key. That's extremely evil. And he says, I thank you because the foundation of this world will be built on the backs of you guys. One of those guys that he poisoned, says, all right, I ain't leaving without a fight. I'm finna kill you, G. But Thanatos, he ain't really too scathed by it. He sends out one of his little snake merchants, gets him out of there, and it's just, lying like a little corpse that he is. And then he tells Val, hey, I'm taking their chi pools, you take their blood. You need to get back to what you normally are, because right now, you ain't no real service to me. And that's how the chapter ends. I don't know about you guys. I enjoyed the chapter. I like that we get to see more of Kevin's personality. I like that we get to see the emotional impact of what it feels like to lose a loved one and what it feels like to kind of basically be a failure. It was also cool that we got to see the three brothers in the same area that we haven't seen in a hot minute. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in the next chapter. Let me know what you guys think about the chapter. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe.